Ja.
Så skal du gå ind på min, og så logge på møde på min.
Come on, Uruguay. I know how to do a wave.
Jeg går lige, jeg logger af det her.
Come on, New Zealand. You've never been to a sporting event? Come on. Come on, Adger.
Hi everyone, can you hear me now?
Yes.
It's better?
Much better.
Okay, great. Great. Then we're on. HR, technology. Yeah. HR solved it.
So, good evening, everyone, and hopefully the sound is okay. Thank you for joining us today. So we are basically on live almost all over the world. So good morning and good afternoon and also good evening to us in the room here. And maybe for a start, now we are celebrating the 150 years anniversary of DLF. But before we dig into the details, I think maybe you know, most of you probably know me, but I'm not sure that you know Julie. So maybe a couple of words around yourself, Julie.
Yes, of course. Well, as Søren just said, my name is Julie, and I work as an HR consultant here in Roskilde in the Group HR, and I've been working for DLF in, I think, is it frozen?
Oh my God. Are we frozen, guys?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Oh.
It may help if the observers turn their cameras off.
Yeah, we cannot see you anyway, so please turn all cameras off. Is that happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's.
Are we alive again?
So we're live again. So
Okay.
what I was just saying, we don't know when we were frozen anyway, but I would like to welcome all of you. And today we're here to celebrate the 150 years anniversary of DLF. And thank you all for joining us, whether it's in the morning, afternoon, or as it is in Denmark right now in the evening. But before we dig into to this new concept, I would like to get Julie the chance to introduce yourself. So please go ahead.
Yeah, well, as Søren just said, my name is Julie, and I work here in Roskilde as an HR consultant in the Group HR, and I think I've been working here for almost 2.5 years now. I also started off in a communications role, so not that I have done this before, but I've worked a little bit around communication. So yeah, that's my background. But actually, Søren, I'm the one interviewing you today.
Yes.
So I'm in charge. But and thank you all for the great questions. I've tried to make a script and include as many questions as possible. But we also have this bowl here where we'll take a question during the interview. But I know before we start with all the fun questions, then we cannot have a global call without some numbers. So I promise you that you got 7-8 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the floor is yours with the
Thank you.
numbers.
Thank you. So once again, welcome. And I thought it would be a good idea just to give a short update on where we are with the group companies all together. And we have created this new template where I will dig a little bit into the positives, the negatives, and things to watch, and then a couple of more slides, and then we're done with sort of the introduction. I'm here commenting on the first 5 months of this year's season. And if we look at the positives, then we can see that in North America, our wholesale market is getting traction after a difficult fall sales. Also, if we look at Oceanian and Beet Seed, and actually also South America, the EBIT is better and is actually better than the October forecast, and which is very nice to see. If we look at the Greater Europe area, we see sales prices up by 10% versus last year. So prices are holding up actually in the Greater Europe market. And also in Greater Europe, compared to last year, our forest market is also much stronger than we actually were afraid of. We do see some negative things going on in the market. In Greater Europe and North America, our profit and loss are negatively impacted by lower sales and higher costs. And as we have been explaining before, we do have higher energy costs, transportation costs, and so on and so forth. North America are somehow on price pressure, but as we all know, they came from a really high price level, and I think some of it was at least expected. Looking at the Oceanian, they are on par with October forecast, even though that the dairy, lamb, and beef market is on a decline, and the interest rate is the highest in 14 years in Oceania. South America is somewhat weakening because of the US dollar, because it's continuing to affect their cost base. Things to watch. Basically, it's all about the market dynamics, what's going on in Greater Europe and North America with the stock levels. Shipments in December are extremely important to get the seed out to our customers, but also the fact that we utilize our global synergies by sending seed around to the different SBUs. And then, of course, the whole area around Russia, Ukraine, and China predominantly. And that China goes for all the SBUs, where China is experienced difficulties due to Corona lockdown. So we do have things to watch in the overall scheme. Next slide, please. So looking at the figures, and maybe this picture is a little bit difficult, but this is what we call a bridge. And here we have a turnover bridge where we go from 3 million Danish kroner, and this is October forecast November figures. So we compare how much have reached until now compared to what we expected that we should reach out after November. And according to the October forecast, it was 3 billion Danish kroner, and we have ended at 3 billion Danish kroner. However, there are a lot of dynamics in the pictures. Greater Europe are 112 million down. North America is 15 million Danish kroner down. Oceanian is 29 million Danish kroner down. However, South America is 34 million up. Beet Seed is 34 million up, and vegetables, that is our multiplication business. So Jensen Seed and Astea Seeds, and then also the potato business, they're down at 1 million. And then we have a group called others, and that is mainly exchange rates that are helping us here. So overall, we are exactly at the point where we should be. And here you can see the benefit of being a global company. We are helping each other. If we then go to the EBIT bridge, which is earnings before interest and tax, it's built up in the same way. The October forecast, we were supposed to hit 119 million Danish kroner, and we have actually hit 115 million Danish kroner. And that's a super okay result. taking everything into consideration. Greater Europe is down with 10 million compared to the October forecast. North America down 11 million Danish kroner compared to October forecast. Oceania at 1 million. South America up with 8 million. Beet seed up with 10 million. And our vegetable business up with 1. And others is -3. So all in all, an okay beginning of the season. That was the numbers. Then I would like to thank you, all of you who have participated in the employee engagement or the Pulse survey, as we call it. 81% of all of you participated in the survey. We would like to go above 90 next time, but it's actually a quite okay result. And then digging a little bit more into the details, I'm not going to go through this whole slide, but what I want to touch on is that we see a lot of differences when we go into the local numbers. But overall, if I should just pinpoint this one, you cannot read it, I guess, but it's stating, I feel motivated in my job, and it's green all the way down. A fantastic result. And basically, if we look at the overall DLF results from all of us who have answered 6 out of, how many questions? 1, 2, 3. 6 out of 10 questions are in green. Very nice result. So locally, you're going to dig much more into the details of the answers. And I'm very pleased that all of you who have participated, because this is the way we can change things by knowing what's going on in the organization. So that was it, Julie. A short introduction to figures and the survey. And now it's campfire time.
That's amazing, right? Well, thank you, Søren, for actually doing the time promised. So that was really nice. And so now we want to go into an interview mode, and this is a bit of an experience. So we're just gonna try the best that we can. I have made a script and even a cue cards, and but let's see where it goes, because we have all the random questions.
And I am somewhat worried about this, so
but we will just take it with a smile, right?
exactly.
Yeah, take it as it go. A question to just ease in a little bit. You're here as the company CEO, Søren. How does it feel?
I feel humble. I feel excited about the opportunity to be at the helm of DLF. I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and I got the question at a certain time whether I was a little bit worried about becoming the CEO, where one of my colleagues told me, well, there's nothing to be worried about, Søren, because you have all of us around you, so what can possibly go wrong? So I'm pretty excited about this opportunity.
What is the biggest difference from going from the head of Greater Europe and South America to now be the CEO?
Well, there's a lot of different angles on the business now. Since I changed position, obviously, besides being responsible for the global business, so not only Greater Europe and South America, for me, it is more about direction. It is more about the vision of DLF. It's more about the strategy. Early on, I was much more involved in the daily business, obviously, and the operational business. And now it's much more on the strategic level.
Has it been a hard transition?
Well, I don't think it's been a hard transition. I think I'm digging into this new role. It's not a hard transition as such. It is just on so many different layers suddenly.
Yeah, so just building on.
Yeah.
Diving a little bit into the past, because we are here to celebrate the last 150 years. And I know you haven't obviously been living for that long, but
Thank you.
what are some of the important macro trends throughout those years that also has affected our business?
Actually, speaking about the 150 years anniversary, I hope some of you will get cake today, I guess, and hope, and some of you might get it later on, because I also know that some of you are pretty busy because of the high season. And we are celebrating the past, and we should remember that we are standing on the shoulders of all of those who have been before us. And I would actually like to show something, because I brought this in that the DLF North American team have made. family roots picture of a family roots in for the North American business. And basically, we have come together as a huge family based on a lot of different businesses that have come together. And I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, there are even some companies in the DLF family that are older than the 150 years anniversary. So what has happened the last at least 150 years? I think what we have seen is a total globalization. The world has basically become smaller. We have been through an industrialization. So we have changed from using horses to machines. We are starting to automate things much more. In our business, what we have also seen is a consolidation, and DLF is basically the outcome or the result of a huge consolidation that has been going on for many years. For DLF in particular, where we started consolidating the Danish business, then the European business, and then we went into the world, starting to consolidate the other parts of the world. So it has been a super travel and journey for DLF as a company, and now in a bigger family.
Mm. And now that you're talking a little bit into those moments, there was a question that I took into my script here, and I'm going to read it up. Most larger companies can put their finger on a defining moment in their history. What do you think was the defining point in DLF's history that really stepped it up from a Danish seed purchasing officer into the worldwide company that it is today?
Who gave you this question? Where did you get it?
It was
from?
anonymous. So
It was anonymous.
yeah.
I think one of the defining moments of DLF was, there's been a lot, I'm sure, and I don't know the full history, and I'm probably not pointing at the right stuff here, but I would state back in 1988 when DLF came together with Trifolium, the real engine in DLF was created because we at that time created the power and muscle to go into the world and start to consolidate the business. So I think that was one defining moment for DLF. Another defining moment was when we acquired the plant breeding operation. When we went from a purely production company into being a science-driven company. That was also a defining moment. And then there was another defining moment that we do not that often think about, and that was when the Coop was created back in 1872, when some very foresight farmers came up with the idea of going together and joining forces to bring seed into the world market.
Hmm?
Was that okay?
Yeah, that was
okay?
very much okay. If we dive a little bit deeper into the history, because there's a lot of people who've been asking about the history of DLF. What were the founding principles of DLF 150 years ago, and how do they relate to our global values today?
So, so going back to actually when the founding fathers of DLF were joining forces and creating the cooperation as we have today, and still is today, the ownership of DLF. One of the areas where they really wanted to make a difference was to ensure clean seed, so high quality seed, to ensure that what they produced in Denmark and on their farms could actually also be exported out of Denmark, but also to ensure that the quality of seed would create the necessary high quality feeding and forages for cattle and cows, and for both milk production and meat production. So quality, joint forces working together to be more powerful, and iron quality, and then on top of that, probably also having a commercial sense, or the feet grounded. So they were just like farmers, but also commercially with a high commercial sense. So I think those were some of the principles.
Yeah.
Bridging to what we are today, if you look at our global values, global synergies, empowerment, innovation, entrepreneurship, sustainability, or the green agenda, whatever we call it. I think you can go back and find those kind of values with all our farmers and owners, because that was exactly what they were. They were entrepreneurs, they were innovative, they were working together, so global synergies, and they were, obviously they were empowered because they were owning their own business, but they were utilizing the values that we are actually using today. I can bridge directly into our ownership.
Staying a little bit at the founding principles, if you were to ask the founders of DLF one question, what should that be? One question.
How did you come up with the idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the idea?
Yeah.
That was all I asked for. What is, there's not many companies that can celebrate 150 years. What do you think is, what's the success, the key to the success? Or the secret of the success?
Well, and that's not a simple answer. Obviously, those who have been before us, so our former colleagues and employees who have been working in not only DLF, but in all the different group companies, are the main reason for the success. But I also think what we find today in the organization is a desire to want more and to do things better. And this willingness and passion to be in the seed business, I think that's a defining thing for DLF. And I also think that is part of the reason why we are still around. Then another part is that we have been able to transform constantly. In the beginning, we were a production company, multiplication company. Later on, we became a sales company. And I guess further on, we became much more focused on the science part. So those have been sort of a transformative development of DLF, which have kept us ahead of the game. And alive for 150 years.
And alive, yeah.
More.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, now we're changing the focus a little bit. So I think that we're going to take a question, a random question. Are you ready?
It's getting from bad to worse.
No. Okay, this was
Can we take another?
if we can take another. No, that's not how we do things.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
How do you think we as a company should work with the diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
So diversity comes in many different shapes and forms. Obviously, I think when normally when diversity is mentioned, it's about gender diversity, but it could also be age diversity. It could be a lot of different things when it comes to diversity. I think for me, being 53 years old, male, white, I have a lot of bias and blind spots that I need to take into consideration. And we need to work in the organization trying to make sure that we get equal opportunities for everyone, no matter where you come from, no matter what gender you have. We need to create these opportunities. We are a little bit, let's say, challenged by the fact that we come out of an ag business, and normally there are less females if we talk about the gender diversity, less females in our part of the industry. But it is our job to make sure that we create the necessary opportunities. That's also why we have enforced from the management team that when, for instance, we are out hiring new people, we need to see female in the number of applicants as well as males. So we both have male and females whenever we are out hunting for new people, because we want to make equal opportunities.
Great answer. I think we'll take one more. Yeah.
But now it needs to be an easy one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Easy. And I'm really randomly taking these questions, but it's very HR related, so I'm a little sorry for it. But seeing the pulse results, what do you notice the most?
One more time.
Seeing the pulse results from the employee engagement.
Okay.
What do you notice the most?
Yeah, I noticed two things I would state. Number one is that we have a higher score when it comes to the organization in general, how motivated the organization is. So we went up in the score in motivation, but there's a score where we went down, which goes the opposite direction. And that is the promoter score, so the net promoter score of DLF. So we actually have this situation that more people are more motivated, but at the same time, less people will recommend other people to join DLF as a workplace. And that's contradiction. That's a contradiction which we need to work with. So that is what I've noticed. I think we need to put focus on this. And then there's a lot of other stuff in there as well.
Yeah. But there's some curiosity there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll go back to the script. This one's maybe a tough one. There's a saying that whenever you get a new CEO, something is expected to happen within the first 100 days.
Yeah.
What should we expect from you?
And we are standing here.
Yeah.
What else to expect? No, you're right that there's a normal saying within the first 100 days, and then big changes should happen. Actually, everyone knows that I've been part of the strategy, or I guess most people knows that I've been part of the strategy for the last 15 years, and especially the last 5 years. So I'm not here to make radical changes. However, there are some areas where we definitely are going to change, and especially 2 areas I would like to mention. Number one is communication. And I would like to urge you all to step in on this one as well. There's a reason why we have this interview today. There's also a reason why we did not have a CEO, CFO update the first time. That was an EMB update. So for me, it's very important that we communicate more and more frequently, and that we try out different ways of communicating, like today in the interview style, and maybe one day we'll have direct questions from the audience. So communication is important. Then there's another kinds of company where we need to work differently. So the empowerment and the globalization, so the values are extremely important. We already started to work on the values, but that is something that I'm supporting heavily. And that's not something that we have invented in the first 100 days, but this is something that we will keep on putting focus on. And then also putting more power into leadership is important. And then last thing that we will also do before we'll start about a new strategy, but another thing we need to put more focus on, and that is to create more resilient and scalable processes. So we need to install across the group more strong and robust processes. And we need to invest time, money, and resources in creating these processes, because we are at a tipping point, in my view, where we need to have more standardization as well in the group. And that's something we're going to look much more into.
Sounds good. And this question is, there's been a lot of questions around this, so you are taking your time with the answers, but yeah, put some time into this one. What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges for the seed business going forward? If we are starting off with the challenges.
We have a huge challenge in front of us, and that is also turning into an opportunity. But one of the challenges that we have in front of us is getting access to production. As an example, we see that in Europe right now with the high commodity prices, where to produce grass seeds. So that's a huge challenge for the seed business in general, and we have seen it in North America as well, and in South America the last couple of years. They have had issues in getting the right harvest or size of the harvest and yields and so on. So in general, access to seed and clean seed. And speaking of clean seed, access to plant protection products. So how can we produce clean seed in the future when there will be less chemicals, pesticides, plant protection products available? So that's another challenge. On the other hand, that is also an opportunity, because I think we as a DLF is prepared to take up this challenge, and we have opportunities to also in the future deliver clean seed to our customers. Then on a huge macro level, which is not that huge because it's very local, is the whole climate changes that are in front of us and which is happening as we speak. There are 2 areas within the climate changes. Number one is that DLF have some of the solutions. So we are actually, as DLF, as a company, part of the solution. But on the other hand, we also need to bring new varieties and maybe focus on some other crops that we are not having today in our portfolio to go to fight the climate changes. And one thing in the breeding, in the breeding of DLF, we need to launch new varieties that are more resilient than we have seen before. And then there's a whole other list.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Doing a good job. I think before we jump to the next question, then I'll just take one random question from the board.
I'm not too fond of that.
No, I can see that in your eyes. That's why I'm taking one.
We'll speak afterwards.
If you were to explain to the next generations why they should work in our business, what would you say?
We have the most fantastic business, and one of our big challenges is actually to express this to the world around us. Think about working for a company that on the same time have a science focus, production focus, and actually also have some of the solutions that the world around us need right now. Sustainable solutions that are actually going to solve some of the problems that we're looking into. And at the same time, we are part of a food chain. So basically, nothing will happen if we don't have the seeds. So meat and milk, it is all part of the value chain. So I think for young people to join DLF for a shorter period or a longer period, I think it's a fantastic place to be and to grow.
To grow.
And to grow.
Come
grow with us.
Come grow with us, yeah, as we say. Now we jump a little bit to the more personal side. Do you have a personal leadership philosophy?
I'm not sure I've sort of defined a personal leader philosophy, but there's 3 areas where I think as a leader we should deliver. I think we should be measured on our employee engagement. So the pulse is very important for me. So we have a focus on the employees, but I also think that we are nothing without our customers. So customer engagement and net promoter score and figuring out where are our customers, extremely important as well. And then to deliver on the financial figures. So those 3 areas. And how do we then do that? That is to have the right leadership and put power into leadership. And I actually think what you in Human Resource have launched with above the line and below the line and fixed mindset and growth mindset is exactly the way we should act and be creative in our solutions. And me personally, I have a lot of passion and drive for what I do, and that's something that I'm just using as well in the way I'm leading. And then also trying to listen, sometimes also beyond what people are stating.
When you set your leadership team, is there anything particular that you're looking for?
Yeah, diversity.
Yeah.
I look for diversity. I look for actually in our new executive management board where we have one from North America, from Canada, we have one from New Zealand, and we have one for Sugar Beet, and we have Derek from Australia. We have Jette as well in part of the team. So we are a lot of different people and nationalities with a lot of different angles on solutions. And I think actually by having these different perspectives in the different solutions that we bring forward is a total strength of the executive management team. So I'm looking for different perspectives.
Now we're talking about leadership. You, when I meet you on the hallways, you seem very like a strong character. You have a clear mind, and you can seem like you have set up your mind sometimes. Am I a little bit right, or how do you see yourself?
You are from Human Resource. Right? How can I argue? Yeah.
I'm analyzing you. Yeah.
So what is your question?
My question is that also how you see yourself?
Wow. How do I see myself? Actually, I see myself as quite approachable. But obviously, I also have this direct style. Sometimes people would state, sometimes very short, and in the way I express myself. But basically, I see myself as a pretty open person that will discuss and argue and whatever. And I do not necessarily have to be right all the time. I like it, but it's not always happening.
Take that into notes. Well, I'm working a lot right now with the PDRs around the world. Do you also have a development plan? What are your initiatives?
Yeah. I've not written it down, but one of the things that I'm working on, besides trying to be a little bit more patient, which has been on my development plan for several years, and it's probably something that most leaders is having in their development plan, but cultural sensitivity, try to understand areas where I'm biased, try to dig in and look at different solutions and perspective in different ways. That's something that I'm working on now, also being responsible for a global company with a lot of different nationalities. There's not just one answer to some of the questions. So and another thing is I'm trying to steer myself not to take decisions.
So empower people.
Yes.
Yes. And with that said, let's take a question from the ball.
Is that the last one?
Maybe we'll see, depending on the time.
Come to Denmark, meet HR, have fun.
Okay, well, this one is a short one. Will there be, and a very concrete one, will there be a new focus book published for the 150th anniversary?
No, there will not be a new focus book published. We're going to do this interview style, and we are going to we have made stories in the press and in the news and so on. But we are going to celebrate with cakes all over the world, and that's it for this time. There might be a book coming out later on, but not now.
Thank you. I know that you travel a lot as well, because you need to go and meet all our people. What are you most proud to meet around in the organization? What do you notice when you visit all of the offices and sites around the world?
When I am around in the organization, by the way, I'm going to North America in January and soon going to New Zealand, and then I will go to South America as well. I am totally proud about the passion and the extremely experienced colleagues that I meet all over the world that have a great pride in the way they do their work, and you can sense it. I sense it instantly how our colleagues are working and the organization is functioning around in the world. Yeah.
Great. And now you just said that you are going to be in North America and Oceania soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a scenario.
Yeah.
Let's take a scenario. So you're traveling around and it's lunchtime and you are going to sit next to me and I don't know you and you are the CEO. I don't want to say anything stupid. What do I ask for?
Yeah, basically everything.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about family, then we talk about family. Hobbies, we talk about hobbies. Or if you would like to speak about business, let's talk about business. I am basically open for everything and all the discussions. Yeah, for me, there's no boundaries when it comes to just sitting down and discussing and having lunch. And I love listening to other people and meeting other people. So whatever is absolutely okay.
But a good thing to know is your hobbies.
So hobbies, yeah. So I do occasionally run. You cannot see it on me. I do occasionally run, do some bicycling. I actually also do some diving with harpoons, and I do hunting. So those are some of the areas, and gardening.
What about, are you following the sports events, the World Cups and Tour de France? And
I don't follow football these days.
No. Yeah.
For a particular reason, you know.
Yeah, I know.
No, but I do follow the bigger sport events, but it's not something that I do like basketball because my boys are playing basketball, but it's not something that I really go for. And it's not on grass, by the way, so it's not that interesting.
But it's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
And we only have 5 minutes left. So we only have 4 minutes left. Yeah. That's because of the late start. So Søren, I have a personal question for you. And it's something that I always want to ask someone in your position. That sounds like I've talked to a lot of CEOs. I have not done that. But now that I'm talking to you, do you have any tips and tricks for someone like me in the early stages of my career?
But I think not only you, but all of us should try to be, I would state an advice would be to get exposed to as many different assignments as possible, as early as possible. And I would actually, now you stated that you came out of communication. I would actually advise you to, maybe don't tell your boss, but in some time, move out of human resource and go to another function, take up other assignments and get exposed to as many job possibilities or projects as absolutely possible, because that's the way you will develop your skills and make yourself, let's say, open for more opportunities. So a curiosity to dig into areas where you feel a little bit uncomfortable and go out of the comfort zone, try something. And by the way, it's not a problem to make mistakes. It's absolutely not a problem to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes every day. And that's how it is in life. But that is also developing ourselves. So stay curious, say yes to new stuff, go out of the comfort zone. That would be my advice.
So kind of a Nike advertisement, just do it.
Yeah, why not?
Great.
Yeah, why not? What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good advice. Thank you. And I think we are running on the last minutes of this interview. But before I give Søren the final comment, thank you very much, Søren, for giving me the opportunity to interview you here today. And thank you for all the questions. It made my job a lot easier. And sorry for not going through all of these. We did not have time. I will send out an email after this with a feedback scheme that I hope that you will all answer, because we really want to know how we did and if you like the format and content. So the last comment I will leave to you, Søren.
Thank you. And thank you for standing up with me here today and doing the interview. You did a fantastic job. So thank you. To all of you who are listening in, thank you for joining in today. Obviously, we are celebrating the 150th anniversary. But what is more important is that we are trying to exchange and create a forum where you can pop questions in, and I'll try to answer them, and we'll try to evaluate and develop this way of having these sessions in the future. And last but not least, have a very nice Christmas, time off with your family, and a happy new year. And yeah, have a nice day. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Nothing happening.
Thank you.
Thank you and Happy New Year,
Thank you,
Merry
bye.
Christmas.